everyone. We're thrilled that you could all join us for the Giving Tuesday sessions and so excited about our guests that we have with us today. I know many of you are familiar with St. Supéry, and you know that we love to celebrate joy. And this season, we think it's so important to celebrate those who are bringing joy to others, particularly our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness and home insecurity in their neighborhoods, and those who are bringing great joy to others. And so I'm so excited to have Steph Johnson, who's the CEO and choir director for Voices of Our City Choir. Steph, you are also amazing. We have all of these amazing guests today. It's so fantastic. You're the creative director and co-founder of Voices of Our City Choir. You're a recording artist. You're a TEDx speaker. You're the 2020 Woman of the Year in California. Oh my goodness! Wow, it's you're a walking inspiration and a singing inspiration. So thank you so much for joining us.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
I'm so inspired, by the way, to be on this call. George, thank you so much. I'm sitting here with our case manager, our one full-time employee case manager, lived experience, and me too. And everything you said spoke to my heart so much. And Primo, Harmony Healing, what is it called again? Harmony, Hope, and Healing had visited us on the West Coast. And in fact, I think it was an article by them that inspired me to start the choir. And I just want you to know, I feel so connected to all of you. I could cry. So thank you. Thank you for showing me the future organization growing from that, the resources you had to what you are now. George, meeting you is like meeting my soul brother. I'm just really grateful, Emma, and to everybody on your team for having this conversation. So thank you.
Well, we love having you, and tell us how you got started and what's going on with Voices of Our City. We did share a little video at the start for those who are with us on Zoom, but we will enjoy hearing the choir at the very end of today. But tell us how you got started.
Sure. So I was born and raised in San Diego, and I was pursuing music and living a creative life. 5 years ago, I took my guitar to the street and started to make relationships with people living unsheltered. I knew, just like Jordan, that through conversation and relationship building, that was so much of what people crave. That's so much what people crave in life, right? And I could see and started to educate myself that the way that San Diego was handling it was by criminalizing people for being homeless, right? So they were putting people in jail and writing all these obscene tickets. And I was just so infuriated and I remember I met a gentleman living in his tent out by where I was doing all this outreach that I started. And I said, let's revolt. I was so upset for him. I was like, let's go take to the streets. Let's go and make something happen. And he looked at me and he laughed at me and he said, it doesn't matter. We don't have a voice. It doesn't matter what we say. And I remember that really stuck in my head. And then the very next day I met a woman who saw that I was singing, and she said, Google my name, look me up. And she was singing in a choir, and I believe it was in Chicago. And it was a choir for people that were experiencing homelessness. And all of a sudden, this amazing kind of vortex of music and my purpose and the right things all kind of converging together, I was like, I had this idea. So I called Nina Deering. I said, do you want to be the choir director? A pastor downtown who was meeting people and serving the same population offered us his space. And so we started to invite people to a choir rehearsal where we sing soul music and funk tunes. And then it started growing, and it started with a couple people. After a couple months, it was and then it just kept on exploding and growing. And more people came to join us to support the people that were showing up. And I started as trying to help one person at a time, where I would fundraise for one person and try to get someone off the street and do whatever I could. And now it's a full nonprofit organization. We're still in our grassroots growing stage, of course. We have 4 full-time employees, many of us with lived experience. Lots of choir members now that have gone through. We have a choir maybe over 200 people that have come through and been a part of the choir. We're just rebuilding after the pandemic, but we have helped approximately 80 individuals move off the street and into safe housing and or shelter. And I am not a case manager. I know nothing about housing, except I know a lot about building trust-based relationships. I know about creating the space for music making, good food, like Jordan was talking about, spaces that are innovative and fun to be in. I knew I could create that. And so I just started inviting all my friends living on the street, and our message of our joy of coming together and making music, our happiness of each other being heard and seen, has made us this kind of in-demand performance ensemble where people want to hear the choir perform and sing. And it's just incredible that we get these opportunities now to go. This was at the Jewish Film Festival we performed at. Our friend Michelle Zasper in the middle right there in the white, she made a documentary about one of our choir members who passed away and wanted to let the world know what the choir meant to him and the choir family. A lot of the people that are in the choir are people who've lost family. They don't have family anyway. They don't have that network. So we really feels like family. Did I answer the question? I got so excited meeting you guys. I just jumped off the page there.
Well, it's fine to jump off the page because we love hearing from you, and we love what you're doing with the choir program. And, I think one of the things that I really like about the choir program is when you bring people in for choir practice and you're together during the day, you're also able to help connect them with other services and other things that can help improve their lives. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So without knowing what we were doing, we became a referral agency. So we created our own I'm old school. All of your list of numbers. What am I? Rolodex. I'm doing the Rolodex. So your old school Rolodex. There wasn't a strong connection of everybody and all the services. I don't know what it's like in Chicago, but that didn't exist for us here. So I had to create a database of support and how to navigate that, because of course people suffering PTSD and trauma are not going to be able to navigate that. They really need an advocate. And so today we partner and work with all of the housing, programs, shelters, other resources, and our. Can you scoot over this way so it doesn't cut out again? Yeah. This is Enrique. Enrique just joined us, and Enrique is tasked with we all wear a lot of hats right now, but his job is to create a plan with an individual, see where they're at, meet them where they're at, and see how we can help and support them. Not ever taking away that that person's
their independence.
Their independence, yeah, their power and being in charge of their life. It's the music is so uplifting. People feel it when they walk in. And, a lot of choir members that have gone through and been with us for years, and maybe we end up hiring them or they take on another role or something, and they hear me talking about the rehearsal as being this outreach. And the choir member goes, "Oh, it's outreach?" And I say, "Yeah, it doesn't even feel, it's not your typical kind of outreach, right? Everybody's welcome to the choir. But in that space, when someone lets their guard down and they trust us and they feel a space for them to be who they are," Enrique, who is so wonderful at connecting with people, starts that kind of conversation and works with people. So it's great.
Well, that is wonderful. Share with us your biggest hurdles that you have and challenges that you see for people on the streets who are unsheltered.
Showers, housing, dignity, opportunity. These are people that are people. We are all people. We are all one. And the folks that I meet had professions, had extreme trauma in their life, something that happened. It could happen to any of us. And with opportunity and support, that person will be thriving. That person comes back to society. That person's like stoked to be back and have something that is a piece of them that they can bring to the table. So biggest challenge is lack of housing. You could talk about all the hurdles that a person faces once they get a housing voucher, or they have support. Tell us about the hurdle when you're trying to house them.
So, I mean, first you have to get rid of all the barriers that exist. Like they might not have an ID, social security. They haven't existed in society because, being homeless. So you have to take all those barriers down. Then you have to find what kind of income do they have. And then once you kind of get them prepped for housing, then you have to face the other side of what it is to house, because you're going to have to go talk to property managers. They're going to run a credit check, a background check. And so it's a lot of money is invested into the case management and these programs to house. But when you face the other side, like when you're trying to house them and there's nobody that really wants to rent to your client or to you, then you're facing other obstacles, because there's not there's not places that are the system doesn't have in place housing, right?
Right.
So that's where the struggle and it is when you're really trying to house somebody. People do get housed. I'm not saying they don't, but it's not designed in a way where it's there's like a fluidity when you're okay. You got some voucher. I'm gonna get them into this place because it's already contracted that way. You have to like kind of battle through everything to get this person housed. And then when they're housed, then you have to case manage the client through that and make sure that he can sustain himself and be able to live on his own. So sometimes it depends what kind of program you have in place. It could be a 6 month, 24 months, but I was case managing up to a 24-month period at a time. So once they are stabilized and they can live on their own, then you kind of step back and enjoy, the success of that person being in a home and being sheltered.
And then with the choir and all the music programs, we teach piano, harmonica classes, songwriting. The song that we performed on America's Got Talent that got the Golden Buzzer, which some people saw, like millions of people saw, which was very helpful for us. That was a song written by our choir members in our songwriting workshop. We also have case management, which we call choir care. We have a whole nutrition program. We have a distribution center. We partner with the church, and we're serving 200 people a day. We would do more if we had more resources. And when you said, what's the challenge, or I don't know if there's a question here, what the future looks like for us. But since we're in the state of California, and Emma, about the complications and challenges around housing, we are now having the meetings and conversations to explore what it would look like for Voices to become a housing provider and to create our own space, much like Jordan described, where there's all the holistic pieces, people who understand what you're going through, and a community environment. But people are willing and ready and want to come into our, they would come into our shelter. They would come into our housing, And so we want to capitalize on that and move with that kind of energy. Even though we're grassroots and we're 5 years old, we're ready.
Well, the music you're making is fantastic. And tell us a little bit about the songwriting workshop and how you did create the Sounds of the Sidewalk song that we are going to hear at the very end. So we're keeping everyone on till the very end to experience that joy that you're going to bring to us. But tell us how that came about.
So, I'm a songwriter. Songwriting, playing guitar, and singing was so helpful in me finding a voice and expressing myself. And so having a songwriting workshop was always really important to me. My dear friend, Francesca Valle, a songwriter, musician, she took it over and she's been leading it for probably 3 years. Every week before rehearsal, about 10 to 20-ish people join. We have a collaborative. We have our own publishing company. We publish our own music. So we all come together and co-create. And that song specifically was about their lived experience. What are the sounds that you hear when you're being, asked to move in the morning, or you're getting a ticket, or you're, all the things that you hear. And like, there's one line in there, pennies falling down into a paper cup. Friends I've never known, they're trying to look up. And mothers holding babies, trying not to cry. Strangers shouting verses, trying to teach you why. It's like all this noise telling you like you're in the wrong place, you shouldn't be there, you don't know what's up, and you're just trying to survive. So I love that. I love the lyrics of that song. So I took took the song and pretty much their melody, and then I kind of reharmonized it a little bit and put a little groove behind it. And then we started rehearsing it with the choir, and there you go. Then we got our song. That's how we do our songs.
Well, that is fantastic. Ronald's asking when the choir is coming to Chicago, and you and I were talking about this. That we need a grant from Google for a Google bus, or we need a tour bus.
Yes. I would so love that. In fact, after, we kept everybody together during the pandemic, and we got a grant for some laptops. We distributed laptops. We taught people how to use the laptops and stay engaged through Zoom meetings and all that. We would send out vocal parts to songs. They learned them. They'd come into the studio in a safe, COVID safe environment, record their part one at a time. I mean, the skills that we had to learn to get through the pandemic. Now we're back together singing. Pre-pandemic, we were always singing very joyfully in unison. And I'm happy to say right now, there's lots of harmony going on stage. So it'd be a wonderful time to take the choir on the road and share this wall of sound, this beautiful, it's beautiful. It's so cool. We want to come. We're coming.
I hope we have you up here for Festival Napa Valley next year too. It would be fantastic. Yeah. And one of the other things is, I've asked previously, how can other people get involved? What can $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000 do for you in your organization?
Well, $100 actually affords us quite a bit of time with a case manager working with an individual or two on a plan to get off the street. It definitely goes into all of our programs. I did write down though, $25 gets us 5 hygiene kits. So 500 is 100 hygiene kits, which we need desperately. We're serving 200 folks a day. They need shoes. They need all sorts of things just to survive. So those are real practical things. $1,000 covers our rehearsal space for a month. The insurance involved and us being in there and everything. Of course, we have a big dream for a big bus so we can come to Napa and come to Chicago. And cost $10,000 or a month, right? A month, yeah. It costs around $10,000 a month for us to run our outreach, which was we didn't have before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, it became necessary. People needed food. I mean, if people go to the trash cans to look for food, right? Or they're looking anywhere, it was gone. It was closed. So we were getting all these reports and calls from people that were so hungry. So this outreach that started, that also includes a phone charging station for people without electricity, distribution of drinking water, the meals, hygiene kits, and coffee. Because what's one thing, who loves coffee? Hello. Okay. So when it's right, he's drinking his coffee right now.
It's right up there with mine.
So we provide fresh brewed coffee, cream, and sugar, and we provide as many cups as that person wants. And that has been the perfect relationship builder. And it wasn't until last month we figured out how much we were really spending. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's a lot on coffee. But it's created this perfect space, right? For dignity, conversation, relationship building. And that isn't something that's provided that often for folks. So now we got a coffee sponsor, but we still got to buy that cream and sugar. So it's expensive.
Well, you're doing an amazing job. We're super excited, and we hope that our guests donate to you. We are having the lunch for all 3 of you on June 10th at the winery. So we hope that you donate. Note St. Supéry for that. With each $500 donation, you can have a guest. And what a perfect holiday gift to your family, your friend, to say you're coming to Napa to celebrate all of these wonderful organizations and all they're doing for our friends and neighbors around the country. It's really quite impressive. And we hope that you join us at the winery. You check out our Everyday Hero exhibit online or at the winery, celebrating people like yourselves who are just out there, who show up, who do good things for other people. Because frankly, if COVID has taught us nothing, it hopefully has taught us to recognize the joy that we have in each other and caring for each other and being good to each other. So I thank you for that. And I thank you all for the good work that you do. We're going to kick off the beautiful choir song next. But until then, be well, be kind, and cheers to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
First couple of weeks, you're not gonna sleep at all. I couldn't sleep.
Come on, sir. Get your bags. I don't mean to be mean, but we can't sleep here.
Rolling on the pavement with a 1-2 beat. Smooth and steady, rolling easy down the street. Even though I'm not quite back up on my feet, I'm helping myself stand up independently. Gotta keep that hope for tomorrow with my dignity inside. What's mine is yours to borrow. Together we touch the sky. The struggle is over. I can see it in your eyes. The future is open, and I'm rolling, rolling, rolling. Listen to the sounds of the sidewalk. Listen to the sounds of the sidewalk. And I got the music in my soul, and I got the hope for tomorrow. Listen to the sounds of the sidewalk. Pennies falling down into a paper cup. Friends I've never known, they're trying to look up. Mothers holding babies, trying not to cry. Strangers shouting verses, trying to teach me why.
Hopeful eyes searching, restless arms reaching. Our battles going down, with chaos all around. And the mother reassures herself everything will be alright as she steps in rhythm to the sounds of the sidewalk.